Thank you. Good morning, one and all. It is certainly an honor to be here with my colleagues today, just to share as women in the faculty in terms of celebrating who we are. And so today I have the express pleasure and the honor of doing the welcome. It's probably the easiest part of today. So a warm welcome to everyone, and warm, the operative word being warm, because Cape Town is again showing us that there's cloud on the mountain, but we're happy. We're going to be thrilled with whatever weather. This is not going to get us down. So today, a very warm welcome to everyone. We have, obviously, as you can see on the program, special guests and special guest speakers. And at this point in time, I'd like to welcome the special guests and the special guest speakers. So we have started collaboration with Old Mutual in our faculty. You are well aware of our Old Mutual MoneyWise Fridays. And so we have representatives from Old Mutual here. And we'd like to welcome Ms. Sumaya Osman, the Account and Business Development Manager at Old Mutual. Ms. Marinda van Skalkwyk, the Regional General Manager for Old Mutual Corporate. Ms. Elmarie Brooks, who's the Corporate Marketing, Public Affairs and Sustainability person at Old Mutual. A warm welcome to you. Our faculty looks forward to further collaboration with Old Mutual. Then we also have the pleasure of having been supported by Fundani in this venture, and we'd like to today invite and welcome Ms. Denise February, Ms. Dudu Madakani, Ms. Voyukazi Mtetwa, and Tandewe Sidumo. So a warm welcome to our Fundani staff. So our event is not going to be complete without guest speakers, and we have esteemed guest speakers today. Our keynote speaker is Prof. Vivian Lavac. Prof. Vivian Lavac, we're thrilled to meet you, and we're thrilled to have you as our guest speaker today. Prof. Lavac is across the road from us in Bellville, the DVC academic at UWC. A warm welcome to you, Prof. Lavac. Then we have Ms. Nontukelo Makoliso, who traveled from Johannesburg to be with us today. A warm welcome to you, and we're happy that you could join us. Sorry, Dr. The next speaker came from Johannesburg. Dr. Nombuselelo Songelwa came from Johannesburg. Thank you, and we're glad that you could join us. And then Ms. Ikelelwa Waka is also a guest speaker. And where's Ms. Waka? Still waiting, okay. So we'll give Ms. Waka a welcome when she arrives. So a warm welcome to the guest speakers. You know, I must tell you, when we sent a mail to the guest speakers to ask to present today, there was just such a willingness and just, yes, fine, tell us when, send us more information. And that's the kind of spirit that we really appreciate, so thank you. But then, you know, today's special. So we are all esteemed guests today. And I'd like to give us all a round of applause just for being here. So just to note, we started this venture in 2021. We had our first Women's Day via a webinar, and it was such a roaring success that we just continued. And each year it goes to next level, so I really don't know where we're going to next year. But I'm sure someone will do the thanks a little bit later on, but from my side, I'd just like to thank the team who really did an amazing job with arranging everything and ensuring that everything is sorted. Put a team of women together and you'll make something happen. Thank you. So sit back, enjoy, forget about marks and uploads and Blackboard. Thank you. I'm giving you permission today just to forget about work and just just live in the moment and enjoy time together with our fellow colleagues. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prof. Scholes. So our next item on the program is our keynote speaker, and I have the privilege of introducing her. So Prof. Vivian Labak is the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academic at the University of the Western Cape and holds several qualifications in which she achieved cum laude, the highest being her LLD from UNISA. So she is also an admitted non-practicing advocate of the High Court of South Africa and is an expert in law, economics, and the intersection of the two fields. Her field of academic research is in the legal and regulatory frameworks pertaining to the payment system, banking system, and financial markets in South Africa. And she's also published extensively, delivered papers at conferences, both locally and internationally. So welcome, Prof. Labak. Over to you. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our program director and also for the warm welcome, Prof. Scholes. I feel like I'm at home. I walked in here and I looked and I said to Joanne Ridder, now how come I didn't get the memo? I didn't know about this wonderful, colorful event that you're doing. I'm coming here, but at least I've got my usual red hat on. Thank you very much. I want to also say I'm very privileged to be in the presence of all of you women, our panel speakers, panelists of later. I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say. So the gentleman over here that has We Are CPUT, the hashtag at the back, he asked me, can I please have your typed out speech? And I said to him, you know, when I saw the theme, the last thing I do is to type out my speech like that, because I know from my own experience it inhibits me. I feel then that I cannot actually talk to you. And therefore, what I'm going to do, it's going to be a bit interactive and a bit engaging. So please don't hide behind the pillars or whatever where I can't really see you. Because I feel that sometimes, oftentimes during Women's Month, it can be quite depressing. We have a lot of challenges as women. And we are born women, which for me, if you look at the beautiful poem, for example, of Maya Angelou, Phenomenal Woman, I've used that at some other stage, just to celebrate us being women. And despite the challenges, so one thing we can do, we can use this month and talk the whole time about the challenges. And I've also challenged our staff to say, why every year do we only talk about the challenges? We talk about GBV, we talk about femicide, and then when August is done, and then what happens? Then it's a lovely talk shop, and we move on with our lives, and we've forgotten about all. So there's not always action that comes from these things. So what do I want to do? Thank you. I found your theme very interesting, empowerment and equity. And why did I like about the empowerment part? There are 3 reasons for that. Because for me, in empowering, you don't only just empower others. Because if you do true empowerment, what's the kind of result that you also get? Through that empowerment of others, you are actually empowered yourself. And I think that was an important one. And then I don't know if you've seen so many government documents, and it's something that even on our continent we love talking about. Let's do capacity building of women. Now you know what capacity building to me sounds like. Like you an empty vessel, I come and pour something in you. And that for me is not empowerment. That's not working with a person, looking at it from your vantage point. How can I empower? I also like the fact that you didn't say equality. And I'll tell you why. The difference, and I'm a shoes person, so I see there are a couple of women here that are also shoes people. So you'll understand my example. The difference for me between equality and equity is the shoes example. Equality is giving everyone the same pair of shoes. Equity is giving everyone a pair of shoes that fits. And I think it's important. If you've ever worn shoes that are not quite your shoes, then I take it from myself. I'm not quite the person I could be if those shoes don't fit. And if we are empowering for equity, then we need to ensure that whatever, I was so happy when I heard that you've launched a women mentorship program. And that's one of the vehicles in which one can actually make sure that you don't just give the shoes, but that the shoes that you give are actually a fit. So what I want to do, among the things I'm a storyteller. I took this great lesson from my great aunt who died during the COVID period. And one of her, I come from a small rural town, used to be Moravian mission station in the Tsitsikamma, at the foot of the Tsitsikamma mountains called Clarkson. So this language I'm speaking to you today was a foreign language to me. We only spoke Afrikaans, and I had to learn English like most of us. English might not be our first language. Why am I taking it back to storytelling? I decided at some stage what I need to do was to go back to, we only had 2 streets. That's how small this village was. Everything was around the community, around the church, the school, etc. And none of us actually grew up having to be hungry because we planted. And if you had pumpkins and that one was slaughtering a cow or whatever, then you share. And I thought, what did I actually, in reflecting on my own journey, what did I actually learn from Clarkson? So I decided to write a book on Clarkson. It's called Stemme van Clarkson. And the big driving force behind this book for me was my great aunt. I asked them, I had a community meeting, and I asked them, so how do I take this book, how do we get our stories out there? Because people are already not remembering our heritage, and how do we make sure that we also reflect on what it is that we've learned here and so on. So I've set that up, community meeting. At the end result is they wrote their stories, I wrote my story, I had the opportunity. And that's when I realized, and we published a book in 2021, she wrote her story, still in longhand on a piece of paper because she couldn't type. And I mean, I had strange things like one of the authors wrote his story in an email, and then he would lose the email and start typing the story again. Shame, because he couldn't do Word. So, and I took it from where they were at and then compiled this book. And storytelling for me is a great way of actually empowering yourself and empowering. And I want to give you an example. Do you remember the movie Hidden Figures? Powerful movie. You can use it to as the story, and I'll do it very briefly, about resilience. I've used it before about resilience, but when I looked at your theme, I realized there's actually the story of empowerment and equity in that movie, and I want to highlight that very briefly. So in the 1970s, the 3 women, Katherine Johnson, who was a mathematician, that time they called them human computers. Dorothy Vaughan, she was also a mathematician, she was a supervisor of a group of black American women, and then Mary Jackson, who studied science and mathematics and really wanted to become an engineer. So what for me was so interesting about that story was how Catherine then, because of the fact that there were black women, as you know from the movie, if you haven't watched it, please go and see it. It might still be on Netflix, I think. What's interesting that they had to work in a different area. It was called the west side of NASA, which is a national space agency in the USA. And the different thing about Catherine was that she was in another building, and she was the person that did the computation to put this shuttle into orbit. Okay, the space shuttle into orbit. You can imagine such a responsible work. If you get your calculations wrong, then disaster strikes and you can cost the life of people. And what was interesting about that was that she was not allowed to use and it sounds a bit like our South African history at some stage in apartheid, not allowed to use the bathrooms of those mathematicians. She had to go to the others. And how that story of hers changed, where they realized that they needed her skills and that she could then also co-author reports that actually then set up the going into space. That's Catherine. Dorothy Vaughan, I like this part in the movie where she realizes that there's going to be this big first time IBM computer. But someone needs to program that computer. And remember the scene where she goes in and she actually steals a book so that she could teach herself to program. She'd learned Fortran. What did she do? Did she keep it to herself? No, she trained that group of women to be the first programmers of the IBM computer used by NASA. Mary Jackson, this one was gutsy. When she realized she needs an engineering degree, what did she do? Did she say to herself, okay, only place that I can do an engineering degree is at a white male school? What did she do? She went to fight her case in court. She's not a lawyer, but I like the scene where the judge said to her, no, it's never happened. She said to him, so you be the first to change the history. Remember that sentence or that phrase, you be the first to change the history. How did he change the history? He had courage to say you can go to an after-school program, a night school actually, working during the day. A lot of us women would be familiar with that, juggling and how you had to do extra. After school, end result, she became an engineer at NASA. What do I take from that? One, they empowered themselves. What are we doing to empowering ourselves? I always think that when you get onto a plane, they say, you know, that part that we don't listen to anymore, but they say if we're in an accident or whatever, if we have to have an emergency landing, please, what must you do? Oxygen mask, but for whom? For yourself. And then you can help fellow passengers. And I think oftentimes we as women, we can run on empty. And you cannot be empowering others if you have nothing to give. So I think it's one of those things that we speak about often as women, but we don't practice it always. And I'm the kind of person that always have to ask myself, so okay, why? At some stage, a journalist interviewed me, and they said, so with all the things that you do you have balance in your life? I said, but if I think about it, you never ask males if they have balance in their lives because it's assumed they have balance. We bring the balance. And then one of the other women, I was part of a panel, she said something that was quite profound for me at that stage of my life. She said, forget about balance. It's almost like being a garden. At some stage your life is going to be more in balance and other times not. And then you flow with those seasons that you are in. But if you are going to say to be an absolute balance, you're stressing yourself out more. So that worked for me, it might not work for you. So the first thing is empower yourself. What is it that you need to be the person that you want to be? If you've set that goal, when I was in Clarkson, I think I was in grade, what is it now with these grades? Janine, we were in standards that time. Grade 8 is what now? That time standard 6. I was in standard 6. And my dad was a school principal, and then they said, no, he's adding marks. You know, this child can't do so well. So they sent a school inspector. And the school inspector took me out of class for 3 days, and he chatted with me. But I didn't know that he was actually testing me. And after the 3 days, he actually told my dad, he said, Mr. Levak, please can you tell your child she must go and study law one day? There was never a lawyer in Clarkson. What would I even know about law and thinking about? And not our family, that time, a lot of teachers, they went to college. Nobody went to university. And a lot of you might sit here being the groundbreakers in your family, because what happens with the first generation one? you set the tone for your families. And then in that way, you're actually also empowering future generations in your family to come. So empower yourself. You've already reached being here at this wonderful occasion. You have your own story to tell of how you empowered yourself. What is your story about empowering others? Can I just see who of you in the room are mentoring other women? Now, next time when I come here, Prof, can I please see everybody's hand go up because of the fact that I almost feel like taking this thing out. And then maybe just speak to you here. No, too few of you have put up your hands. And you know what's the lesson I learned? When I have a very strange story. I'm not your normal academic leader. Did their degrees in Cape at UWC, becomes a lecturer, HOD, DVC, and so you go on. Dean, DVC. That's the linear path. My path is not linear. I left the university. I was at the University of Port Elizabeth, which is now Nelson Mandela University. As an academic there, the first black person in the faculty that became an academic. So I tell the story these days because NMU doesn't mind that I say that when I did my LLB and I was top of the class, some of my professor, they couldn't deal with the fact that you even had half a brain, let alone a full brain that can deliver these results. I'm not saying this lightly or facetiously. It was the time, and I realized that you can actually make a strange or slight difference in people's lives when you use whatever influence you have where you are at. I never had a single female or woman that mentored me. Never. And I decided 3 great men. In my career, I left the university, I went to the South African Reserve Bank, various roles there, and after Reserve Bank, I was senior legal counsel for Straight Limited in Johannesburg, and then my colleagues said, why don't you return? When I left UPE, my dean said to me, oh, you probably want my job, what can I offer you? And you know, youth is a wonderful thing. I looked at him and I said to him, not yet, I'll come back. And I probably meant it flippantly. But I didn't know that my story was going to be that I was going to return to that faculty 6 years later as the dean. And finding some of my colleagues still in the same place and not having empowered themselves. So that's when I started the PhD program for women there. And I promised myself, every role I have, I will empower other women because there was no woman that was standing up and wanting to help me. I always speak, and you were there last week, last time at the World Program, so at this stage, Prof, you can close your ears. I'm known to speak, and I will round up now, because I see you looking at your, how many minutes do I have left, Janine? 2 minutes or so. I always speak about PhD syndrome, and I want you to ask yourselves today, do I suffer from PhD syndrome? And by that, I don't mean having a PhD. I mean a PhD syndrome of 2 things. Are you pushing her down? Let's stand still there. Sometimes, when we reach that, then we're thinking, I'm going to be the queen bee. I'm not going to allow anyone to be here. So what do? We push her. I'm not going to open any doors for you. I'm not going to empower you. I'm not going to give you the shoes that fit the equity part because I want to be there among the men. And what do we sometimes do? We take on those masculine characteristics of leading. And I think the beauty and the power of women leading is actually being authentic, being a woman in a different way. You don't have to become a man. Then pull her down. I've experienced that. The higher I went up the ladder, I've experienced, I should not pull her down, We've got, yes, push her down already, pull her down. So now you see Prof is there. Sorry, I'm picking on you. Prof Skulls. For your own reasons, you might not like Prof Skulls, and there's always lots of reasons, sometimes also jealousy and all sorts of things. So what do? Instead of giving her wings, seeing how you can help her to thrive, because if she is thriving, then the rest of the faculty will be thriving. So what do? We pull, and we pull. And so that is a question that I want to leave with you this morning. Are you pulling her down? Are you pushing her down? And then even if you don't have to be a leader, we've all read the books. You don't have to be a leader to say, I'm going to help this person. Let me end with this. And I'm going to invite you to please follow this. I decided this year, every year we're doing a lot of Women's Month things, but this year, it's a special year for us in law, for women in law, because we're celebrating 100 years of women in law. It's only been 100 years since women in South Africa have been allowed to practice. And I thought, so what can I do differently? And I decided I'm going to use my storytelling ability to do the stories of women. And so I'm doing a podcast series. Please follow it, because from those stories, you are going to learn something, not just about overcoming and so on. So I then thought I can't do the podcast series of 10 women, but I can do the podcast series of 100 women, to sort of celebrate the 100 years, but to do 10 women across ages and backgrounds, etc. And we've just, I think I was episode number 2, because I'm the producer, my director felt my story needs to be told as well. So I'm number 2. Number 3, we've just had, and on every Friday, I release the next one, the next episode, this one. And I'll share with Janine the link, and she can share with you or put it somewhere that you can also see on LinkedIn if you go and check it out. We had the story of Rory Sang Zoyana. And she talks in her story about how she was a background from the Eastern Cape, how she was top of her class, and then when she came into this big law firm, how she felt they made her to feel utterly stupid. And she thought, why am I feeling so stupid? And she said it was only when she left, and she's a banking financial lawyer at Nedbank, that's when she realized, but I was never empowered. And she said, and that is when she decided, I will not have other women feel as stupid in practice as I felt. So she started a mentorship program for young women lawyers that she does online when she's done with her work on top of. And then, so the next story will be Sazi Shangana. And I'm inviting you all to look at how you can use your position from wherever you are to empower and to make sure that other women have the right shoes. Thank you.
Amongst ourselves as the Women's Day Committee, also had that conversation of what is the difference between equity and equality. So it was chosen with purpose. Thank you very much. Okay, we are going to move on to our next item on the program. So if I can please have our vocalists come up. I hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. So we're gonna sing you something, and I know it's a bit cold outside, but hopefully this will help warm me up. My name is Caitlin.
My name is Heidi.
My name is Nicole.
And hope you guys enjoy.
Come on, ladies, join us. Stand up and join us along. Come on. Wow, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you took the opportunity to get up and move, get yourself warm. Wow, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so we are going to move on then to the next item. So if I can please ask the panelists to come to the front and, oh no, it's Joanne, sorry. How can I forget you? My apologies. So the next item is the 30-day Women's Challenge. Thank you so much.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning. I have a special message for you. Before I introduce you on the 30-day Women's Challenge, it's something that I taught my daughter, who's now 23 years old, and she's taking it through her life. Nobody can make you feel bad about yourself other than you. So that is my message to you. Okay? So we had an initiative in the faculty where we approached 30 female staff members to ask them, we asked them 3 different questions, and we asked them to be as truthful as possible and speak from their heart. There were no right or wrong answers, okay? So without further ado, you can look at the screen and you will see the responses. Some of the responses are in their mother tongue and some is in English. So look and enjoy. Thank you.
Good day, I'm Mandy Jones. I'm the Acting Equity and Marketing Department. I've been given 3 questions to answer. The first one is, what makes you a strong woman? I think my faith makes me a strong woman. I believe that I'm blessed, that God has blessed me abundantly, and that He has a plan for my life and that I need to trust in that plan.
Ek sou sê my geloof, ek is 'n Christen en my kinders maak sterk en my therapist.
things that complete me. It has to start, of course, with my faith. The fact that I do have faith, the fact that I am a God-fearing, God-conscious person, that I participate in and love my religion. I believe that I have an amazing family. I'm a mother to 3 grown children. And of course, I have a sisterhood, a tribe of long, sincere, beautiful friendships. And these really are the things that complete me.
I think it's being my sister's keeper. I come to the office and I find this lovely Mpumi sitting in the office. And in that instant, I realize I'm in a safe space. You know, seeing a space where women starting to take charge of their careers, their lives, that in itself fulfills me. But I think also getting tasks done. You know, it's not always something that we look forward to have a responsibility. But when it's completed, it's like, oh, another thing has been gone. But really being my sister's keeper, I think, fulfills me. Being around women who share the same vision, either in different space in their careers or their lives. But that in itself, knowing that, you know, the space is starting to open up a bit for us and we can be vulnerable, we can be ourselves and still be amazing. Yeah.
I really do believe that we as women need to stand together and stick together. And there is a lot of divide already between white women, colored women, African women, Indian women, and even those of mixed races. And we ourselves create that divide about who was privileged and who was not privileged. But if we really want to make an impact as a gender, really as women in society coming together, we need to take a page out of the women's book on the 8th, 9th of August in 1956, where all the women marched together. And this really is about no racial, no cultural differences, but coming together as the women that we are now, to see the changes we want to effect now in 2023 moving forward.
This is Machiavelli Ethel. I think the most important step would be to establish a diverse and inclusive women empowerment programs that do not only operate on Women's Month, but operates throughout the year. And such programs should acknowledge and uplift women from all walks of life. and in doing so, they need to acknowledge the unique challenges, the strength and aspirations of these women, young and old. And these programs need to be tailored to the specific needs of women, and doing so by considering as well the socio-economic background, the ethnicity, career aspirations of these women. This will ensure that the programs are more impactful.
Here with us. Let's start with our daughters, let's start with our neighbors, let's start with our immediate family, because there's a ricochet effect, you know. So if everybody starts somewhere with those that's closest to them, that is how we actually start realizing societal and institutional changes and nation changes, so national changes, sorry.
In terms of fulfillment, what fulfills me is giving. I'm a giver by nature, whether it's by words, it's encouragement, it's a slice of bread, it's giving something that I no longer use. It really fulfills me. It's giving advice to young people. I get fulfilled. So wherever I'm at, under whatever circumstances, whenever there's an opportunity to give, I do that.
Thank you, ladies. You are amazing. Okay, thank you. I hope some of you enjoyed seeing yourself up there. It was good to see and to be able to look at those and go, I know her, I know her. So thank you for that, ladies. So while our panelists are going to get sorted, we are having some food being served. So we'll take about 5 or so minutes and then get going again. Thank you.
Okay, ladies, can I have attention 1 second as you're busy enjoying your meals? Please. Softer, softer. As you're busy enjoying your meals, please note the ladies is on this side. If you can please use the ladies on this side over here. Thank you. good day, attention. We will now continue with the next item on our program, which is the panel discussion. So if we could have our ladies, please. Thank you.
Hello, ladies. This is really, I must say, I really love the conversations going on. I really love the vibe, and I keep using that word deliberately. It's absolutely what we were hoping to see today. You know, ladies getting together, having a good time, having fun, having conversations that only we can understand sometimes. So really, I mean, and I must say, you all look stunning. So can we just give a round of applause for all of you? Right, so my function today, really I think is one that makes me very nervous. You know when you're in the midst of greatness, right? It's not very easy that you become comfortable. But having said that, I'm here to present our guest speakers who will also form part of our panel, who will then be engaging with us, and then we will welcome, of course, questions and answers from you thereafter. So I will start by introducing one of our guest speakers. We do have three phenomenal ladies, I must say. And what gives me great joy, in the composition of, our guest speakers or panel is that they're quite diverse, and I'm hoping that we take home, something great from each and every one of them, which I know we will. Without further ado, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Ms. Sikelelwa Waka. And I must say, normally I don't read out bios because, I'm a talking person, but for this time, ladies, you'll have to forgive me. I could not just get anything that was less important or that I thought was less phenomenal to say. So I'm really going to try and capture what I think is what in my version, has been the essence of what makes this woman great today. So Ms. Sikelelwa Waka is the co-founder and project coordinator for the Black Girls Rising project. I must say her everlasting love for education, children, young women, led her to also advance her skills. She enrolled for a bachelor's in foundation phase teaching at White Wolf Center for Creative Education. She's currently finalizing that bachelor, and she's also held leadership position within that institution. Ms. Waka's commitments really seem, brings sort of meaningful, sustainable, and even more appropriate education to the most vulnerable, and I think which makes her extraordinary, special. So she has a passion for the marginalized, for the vulnerable, and her goal is actually to eventually open a Waldorf school within the Eastern Cape. And I thought that was really ambitious, but it's testimony to the kind of person she is. So in other related interests, Ms. Waka is a social impact practitioner from the University of Stellenbosch, a holistic Soma Source leader, I had to get that right. Soma Source leader from the Golden Bridge organization, and also, you may want to know, a yoga instructor. I can see those requests coming. These roles have allowed Ms. Waka to influence and, of course, impact many children in school environments, of course, using yoga and mindfulness. Embodiment and transformation leadership are really the fundamentals of the work that she's involved in. So she's born the last of 5 children, has been raised in the streets of Khayelitsha. Ms. Swaga is inspired by developmental work and has a keen interest in understanding the human constitution. This really motivates her work, especially with schools and adolescent girls and with people from all walks of life. I think I'm going to stop there, Ms. Swaga, and really request you to come up to the podium and share a few words with the ladies. Thereafter, we'll ask you to please sit along the the panel chairs, and then we'll go with the next guest speaker. So over to you, Ms. Swaga.
Wow. Good morning, everybody. And Enkosi for that. Enkosi. Wow. My name, as been said, is Sigelelwa. And firstly, it is a great honor to be here today, to be in the presence of you phenomenal woman. As Sis Mandisa said, you're all looking beautiful. I walk in and I was like, yeah, it is such a privilege. I don't normally use this word, but I feel really privileged today. And I was actually thinking about, what am I gonna say? For a long time, and I believe into taking things into my sleep and just processing them, wearing them in my body. And up until yesterday I cried almost the whole day, and I sat and I was like, it's not coming together. And then I phoned my mom. My mom is in the Eastern Cape. I was like, my mother, I need some inspiration. She's like, no, I'm busy. You know, I'm busy. She runs a business. No, I'm busy. I don't have time for that. You chose that for yourself, please. You didn't. I was like, yo, okay, thank you. And then she literally dropped the phone on me. And then after that, I was like, thank you. I got it. I got up. I went to school. I came back, and I felt a sudden readiness within me. I was like, I don't really have to figure out what I have to say. I don't really have to know what I need to say, because I believe that what I need to say already exists in this room. What I need to say already existed within me, and I needed to just find it within myself. So I am a woman, obviously, and whenever I say that, I always feel this kind of like boxing, or coming from township Khayelitsha. There was one way of seeing me growing up that I wasn't quite sure with it. I wasn't comfortable with being seen in that way, that you are a girl growing up in the township, nothing special about you, you know? You will kind of like walk the walk that others have walked before, and probably you will fall into all the other challenges that others found themselves into, and then that's it. That's the story we know about the children that come from the township, from the Eastern Cape. And it didn't sit well with me. I constantly, growing up, wanted to find spaces where I could find myself. I could really be authentic. And I think what was most interesting was coming from my home. I'm the only girl at home. I'm the youngest. I have older 5 brothers that really challenged me. And coming to the theme of today, I actually thought that I was 14 when I woke up into the idea of what is my role as being woman. Wow. Okay. And then I took my brothers as a test because I was raised by my grandmother, and the way she raised me, she always put me in situation where she wouldn't tell me what to do, but she just like throw me in the deep end and kind of like figured it out. But also I felt a sense of holding, which is that kind of growth. I feel like it has been the foundation of my being, the foundation of how I show up, the foundation of the work that I do with the Black Girls Rising. But I have constantly held my brothers into seeing me as a human being before they see me as a woman. And that has allowed us to form new relationship between myself and them. And I have actually, from then, I was very proud of myself, proud of them. It took us a long time to really establish the language we're using to one another, the chores, the responsibilities we're setting to one another, because these things look like they are on the surface, but there's actually a lot that underpins what role do we give a girl child at home? What role do we give a girl child in our society? How do we greet a girl child compared to a boy child? And that is something that really has stayed with me growing up, and I really think that moving forward in my life, in my career, in the spaces like this, what has been a gift for me is to be able to see more than what we can see in the physical of our being. Because I think someone said it here, or I think I read it there, that we need to be able to realize that the differences that we set, the boundaries, are just what is on the surface again. But if we can move to a deeper level of seeing each other, even in this room, forget about the colors that I'm wearing, forget about the color, forget about the hair, but what else can you see within me? Currently, I have been having a privilege to work with Black Girls Rising, which is an organization that we formed 2 years ago. We work in the township, Kailicha, Guguletu, Mfuleni, and we really empower the young girls, the black young girls in these areas. And I think my biggest learning was that when I started doing this work, I was like, I am giving the voice to these girls, I am empowering. But the biggest learning for me was that they have a voice. Everyone has a voice. And it then becomes a very thin line to how are we using our voice? How have we been told to use our voice? The spaces that we find ourselves, are they allowing us to be authentic? To finally say, I am a Xhosa woman. I am black, but I exist in white spaces. I exist in male spaces, and I own my voice. So I guess before my time ends, I want to end with being a woman is a very special thing. It is a gift that I really, going home today, we should ponder on what gift underpins being a woman. Because all us here being here, we feel the sense of, yes, being woman, but there's more into being a woman. There's warmth that comes with being woman, and we cannot allow anymore the society to take that away from us. We cannot allow, I don't know, anything, because that thing is what we wear in our bodies. So when I dare to be powerful, to use my strength in the service of my vision, it becomes less and less powerful if I am scared or not. You are not scared, but you are powerful. Thank you very much.
Wow, that was just absolutely inspiring, Ms. Waka. And, you know, I don't want to say much because I think we'll share more comments, and especially from the audience as well, after everyone has shared their, their thoughts. But I must say that was just absolutely inspirational. Thank you so much. All right, ladies, I also have the pleasure of introducing to you our second guest speaker. As soon as my laptop allows me, oh, there we go. Right, so our second guest speaker is Ms. Nokutela Makhohlisa. I think she's perhaps known by a number of us, in this room, but she is a businesswoman, she's a writer, she's a storyteller, and I think more prominently, a human rights activist. And I'm sure you'll probably share some of these stories with the ladies later on, but in 2017, I just have to steal that one from you, right? In 2017, she had a life-altering experience that reawakened her consciousness to fight against injustice and inequality. She's now an advocate for people living with disabilities. In 2019, she established the Nokuthula Foundation Institute, which is a non-profit organization that advocates and promotes for the advancement of human rights and social justice. She's quite delighted, being involved in a number of projects, and I just want to mention one or two. And most of these projects actually highlight and promote inclusion and universal access. But I'll mention one or two: the Broken Crayons, a project which really speaks to providing exclusive opportunities for women living with disabilities. So it's really a platform for dialogue, networking, and exposure, and just, the availability of opportunities. There's the Isidima mobile app, which offers online one-on-one consultations, therapy sessions, self-esteem building, work readiness training, entrepreneurship training, and so forth. Those are just two. But in her career, she is well acknowledged for her work and has been invited in many business platforms as a guest speaker like we have done today. But I mean, look, with the likes of the Love Evolution, I'm told I had to pronounce it that way, at the Black Business Chamber event, to name a few. She's also been in the advisory, rather as an advisory member of the board of the Black Business Chamber. So this is a savvy businesswoman, She is also involved in the wine distribution sector and has received several accolades when it comes to that line of business. But I can think of, from the top of my head, from CTICC, she has been awarded the House Wine Supplier. She has also, by SAA, been awarded the Wine of the Month. And I'm going to also stop there. I'm really going to have to also stop there, Nokutela, but really just stopping to invite you to the podium, and we are really looking forward to what you have to share with the ladies.
bear with us. We're just finding our feet. Can you all see me here? Yes. Okay, let me just.
She wanted to stand.
Wow. It's my birthday today. Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. I am so delighted to be here. Umisila is correct. I used to be one of the ladies that worked for this department in this university. And in 2017, that came to a halt, a road halt. But thank you so much for affording me the opportunity to be here today. And thank you for lending me your ear. Today I've sort of thought that everyone else will be talking about how empowered women embrace equity. And I think my story is a bit different. I've kind of moved slightly away from just equity to realizing that we as women have our own diversity that we need to recognize. And I want to talk to you about that today.
Next slide.
Shortly, apart from the CV and the achievements that were read earlier on, I'm just a king's daughter. I am just madly and radically loved by God. I am the manifestation of His loving care. I'm a mom, very proud mom. My kids are my why. I usually put up a picture of them, but I had my foundation had an event 2 days ago, and they didn't ask me to come take a picture. Them and their deputy mom over there. So they're not here. Punishment. I'm also a social, I'm in business, but most importantly, I am a social justice advocate. I believe that God gave me a second chance at life so that I would love His people and that I would fight for them. And those new shoes are sitting comfortably in this chapter of my life. A little bit of my history. After CPUT, not assuming all of you know me, but I think that having mentioned that I used to work here, this was my last employer. I'm now very unemployed or self-employed. In 2017, I acquired a disability. Drunk driver hit into my car on the 24th of December. Woke up well into 2018. I was declared hemiplegic. Not to worry, I'm okay, I'm still smiling and so grateful I live to tell the story. CPUT also had to find someone else to do my classes. They didn't renew my contract. And within my 4 months hospital stay, my business closed down. So much for having multiple streams of income, right? I'm that girl, okay? But everything came to a standstill. In 2019, I still couldn't find a job. I was hurtful. I'm not going to be academic. Oh, shame. I'm so sorry. You wanted me to be- I was tired of having acquired a disability. There's absolutely nothing wrong with my mind. I am still capable. I just cannot walk. But the employment industry or sector was telling me I'm not enough. 2 years looking for a job, I decided actually I am gifted, so I'm going to form my own foundation and serve people with disabilities. Not limited to that, I also work with women and youth. And I decided that I am going to show the world that I am enough. In 2021, in the midst of COVID, businesses were closing down. I'm a single mom, by the way, my kings are my everything. I had to find a way to keep the bacon coming. So when all the businesses were closing down, I acquired a business in Cape Town, CBD. The business was an ailing business, but 2 years later, a few months ago, I had the Minister of Small Business come to my business, a small laundry in the middle of Adley Street, having a minister visiting it. I've been awarded the Youth Economic Initiative Award in Youth Month. I mean, I'm not youth. I'm turning 38 this year, but they felt my contribution to the economy is said that I needed to be awarded. Today we are in 2023. I hold a fellowship in the Southern African public leadership through Future Electoral from a political academy. I hold the advanced rights for persons with disabilities within the African context from the University of Pretoria. All this happened at a time when the employment sector decided that I am not enough. I think women are very capable, and we are enough. That's just a representation of what I've been through from that first picture when I was unconscious well into the following year, to being blessed enough to be part of a show that we curated and put together for SABC2 called Activated, which talks to a person with disabilities. And I have had the pleasure of taking ownership of authorship. We have to tell our own stories. Sigi said that our stories matter. And if we don't tell our own stories, someone else will. And we will not have any say in terms of what perspective is being told. And we can show our strength better than anyone else. There was mention of broken cry and still color beautifully. It's one of our flagship projects that my foundation has. 2 days ago, we just had one where at Century City Conference Center, where we're celebrating persons with disabilities, women in particular, as well as disability rights champions. So, in my last few minutes, what I would like us to think about in this time is, what is true inclusion? We have been fighting for equality for a while. I'm happy to hear the shift from equality to equity. Because equity speaks to redress. It's giving everyone the right size shoe, right? Making sure that people have what they need to be able to survive and thrive. Not just making sure that everyone has equal opportunities, because we are in the most unequal society in the world. So let's not talk equality when we don't have an equal footing to start off with. But what is inclusion? How do we talk about gender equity if we are not talking about women with disabilities? If we're not talking about trans women? Because if they're not okay, as women, we should not be okay. That's the diversity that exists within us, and we need to be allies of each other. We need to be each other's most powerful allies. No more PhD, Prof. How do we make sure that our policies talk to the many discriminations that exist within the workplace and within society? It is our job to make sure that we speak up when we see discrimination. It is our job to see that remuneration gaps are a thing of the past. I can't believe in this day and age we still talk about such things, but they exist. Look at the at Banyana right now. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. But you know what I realized? I am well qualified and I have a lot of experience. But when I acquired a disability, all that the employment sector could offer me is a learnership, which pays me a stipend. It's a fraction of what I used to make. Quite frankly, I was insulted. But we talk about making sure that women get paid the same, but when are we going to talk about making sure persons with disabilities get paid the same? So I challenge you today to become our allies, to make sure that persons with disabilities are paid the same. Representation matters. I make sure that everywhere I speak, if I must, I carry my own portable ramp, because I cannot be on the podium if I'm not on the stage. And I won't get on the stage if you don't have a ramp for me to get on. But it's important for me, for a child with a disability, to see me on that stage, to see that it's possible, to see themselves in me. And we need this in our management. We need to make sure that persons with disabilities, that everyone, diversity exists from the top down. How do we make sure that that happens? And that's also part of making sure that all these wonderful policies and strategies that we have, they are properly enforced. I'm way beyond my time. Lastly, I want to talk about removing barriers that disable us. Because if there is a ramp to get on that stage, there's nothing disabling me. Guess what? I will get up and I will talk. So infrastructure disabled me. Attitudinal barriers, we need to change. We need to recognize our own biases as human beings. I always find it funny. There's so much teaching to be done. When people see me roll up in the Freddie wheels, Immediately when they see me sitting on this chair, they'll start speaking up. And slowly. And I always say to them, they are using their outside voice with me. Because they assume that because I'm sitting here, I can't hear English and I'm deaf. I don't blame them. We all have these stereotypes and preconceived things that society has given us, but we need to be so self-aware. We need to take cognizance of where we are at as human beings and recognize our own biases that exist within us. Lastly, the last time I was at CBUT, my office was on the 4th floor. I went, after I acquired my disabilities, I was trying to get into my office. All the lifts were, all of them, we went to 4 different lifts. I wasn't aware that the engineering building has 4 lifts. I'm not going to read that, but I am a writer, and this is part of an excerpt that I wrote about that day when I was last at Beauty. I left in tears because the stairs that I was used to taking for years in my high heels, this is nothing, I lived in hills, they were now insurmountable. And CBUT was telling me that I do not belong there. I left in tears. I'm grateful that today I'm here as a speaker. I'm back at CBUT as a speaker. We are creating different memories. But the challenge, Sis Mandisa, the challenge is, how do you make sure that everyone is included? You can move forward. Because to me, and to loosely quote Liz, inclusion is making sure that everyone has a seat at the table, they have a voice, and that voice is heard. Make sure that persons with disabilities, make sure that people of various genders, like trans women, have a seat at the table. And that when they are on the table, that they are heard. And that's how we'll move this movement forward towards gender equity, not just gender equality. Thank you.
Ladies, I must say, as I was listening, wow, to those words, firstly, I picked up 2 things, and I just want to share that very quickly. My boss over there is already timing me. I kept hearing the ladies go, yeah, And I thought, if this room was full of men, my apologies to the gentlemen in the room, probably it would have been dead silence. So it really just reminded me of really who we are as women. And we really think with our hearts, you know, we feel, we lead with consciousness, and the questions you pose to us really speak to that as well. I think we'll have more time to talk about some of the issues that you raised in a bit, but we do want to say thank you for those. You've left us with a lot to think about, and I'm so glad that my bosses actually are here today. So they have been given some homework on behalf of this agenda that we are here for today. So thank you so much for that. But before we move on to our third guest speaker, I am aware that we're having so much fun, and we want to continue, but I also know that, you know, Prof. Lavak really sacrificed her time to be here. And we did say, Prof will allow you to leave a little bit early if you just stay till 1:15. So it's already 1:30. So we have to just allow her, departure. But Prof, before you go, we'd love to say just a few words to you, and then we will proceed with the program, ladies. So Prof Lavak, Wendy, and over to you.
I'm so sorry that I believe I snuck away. Hi, Prof. Hi. Hi, good afternoon, ladies. You all look very beautiful, by the way. You look very beautiful. And I'm just here doing the best part of this event, which is me saying thank yous and giving away stuff. I am Mother Christmas, as you would call me. But I want to say thank you very much, Prof, for gracing us with your presence. We do appreciate it. And I did listen to your talk, and I'm hoping all the women here were inspired and will be empowered. So this is us and the Faculty of Business and Management Sciences saying thank you for gracing us, and we wish to do more networking with you again. Yes. And it's my card over there. Yes, we will appreciate that, and I am sure that all the ladies here will feature in your podcast, whether they do comments or they're part of the guest as well. I'll share it with you. Thank you so much. Sorry, I'm missing yours, but I'm following you. I'm totally inspired by you. Thank you for sharing your stories. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Prof, before you run away, can we just have a 2 seconds photo session? Prof Scholz, Prof Rampasad, just a quick photo session, and then we continue with the program. All right, so let's proceed then, ladies. The next guest speaker is Dr. Nomvuselelo Songelwa. We call her Mvusi, so I guess that should suffice for today. She's an author, a speaker, a facilitator in executive leadership. She's a life coach with over 35 years experience in various industries. She has been instrumental in building and leading teams throughout her career, really with specific focus on personal mastery and harnessing relationships and impact in personal and professional environments. She's got this unique philosophy that I think was quite interesting for me, and she refers to it as the strength of the baobab tree lies from within. Let me repeat that. The strength of the baobab tree lies from within. I think we have to hear more about this. But nonetheless, she has worked with individual teams, full teams, and unlocking their power to transform themselves or from within. She's a qualified coach, having completed courses in various institutions, which I will not list all of them. She has also had a very illustrious career. Mvusi served, and I must say, I'm also very proud because she does come from my sector, which is the tourism, hospitality, and event sectors. So she has had an illustrious career, having served in various portfolios, obviously, of middle and executive management. And just to name a few, she has been CEO in the Eastern Cape Tourism Agency. She has also been COO rather. She has been a CEO at Juni. She has been, shall I mention all, a managing executive operations from Sandparks. I think I will stop at that point. She really boasts many achievements, ladies. And I think she has also received several awards from the Department of Science and Technology. At some point, she has received fellowships with Cornell University in the US, with the Ford Foundation. So I'm really just mentioning really a few of those. But most importantly, she has published various books, and I'm very keen to see what she also has to, or rather listen to what she has to share with us today as an author. Mvusi, welcome to CPUT. We are really looking forward to hearing you speak to us. And you may be very pleased to have seen from the previous guest speakers that we didn't have speeches, we had conversations. That's the one thing she asked us as an organizing committee. I want to converse, and that's why she's here. She wants to have a conversation. So over to you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, strip all what was said. Without my competences and the skills and the schooling and the labeling of being a professor or doctor, who am I? I'm a cattle header. I'm Coach Omalusi. And I'm going to leave you with that question. Without you being labeled as a mother, as a wife, as a lesbian, as a professor, as pastor's wife, as an Indian, as black, as Xhosa, as Zulu, as whatever. Who are you? Who are you? Label yourself. Because all of us have lived in societies where we had to be labeled as so-and-so's wife, as professor's wife, as whatever. You're my father, whatever. If I meet you tomorrow and I have an engagement with you, whom will I say I met? So I live to pen my own legacy. I live to hopefully, Mandisa, if I die before you do, make sure my 5 children can write this on my tombstone. There lies a nurturer, a reviver of silenced voices. This is the daughter of the soil of Africans. This is a daughter of Igqirha. Wat is the Igqirha in Afrikaans? And that's a gift, colleagues, that is silenced in society. So when African people exercise their own gifts, then they get labeled and silenced. And in my international travels, I've heard that there's a white witch that is celebrated. And our own languaging and how we language ourselves is actually misleading because the Igqirha is not Igqirha. So, I'm going to talk about what we don't want to talk about today. Allow me. Firstly, I really want to say thank you to the inspiring engagements, both of you, that you have had with us. And I was sitting here thinking, I'm 57. How can I go back to realize at 14 years that I have to actually have a role to play in unsilencing women's voices? That's what I'm going to talk about today. I talk about it because I turned my pain into passion. Because I never had a role model, like Professor was saying. Our age, we were the age group, we were the first to be in these industries. So we just moved in, navigated, tried to be men, emulated men. But one of the things that I want to do is to make you uncomfortable. Let's talk about the things that we don't talk about. One of those things is an illusion, and I don't know what is it in another right language, that women issues are about women and they exclude the boy child and the girl and men. That's what we have done. We've gone wrong in this country. By just cut and pasting the approaches of women empowerment from a perspective that in that particular society, men are this, without us talking about how do we understand our own communities. If you come from a rural area like me, I was raised by the community. My parents were not there. They and whatever, they were like migrant laborers. And I grew up with boys. At the time, rural communities, women were so powerful, men were not there. So for me, in the educational sector and in the women empowerment programs, already, we are actually told that rural women are disempowered. They need empowerment. It's a misnomer. And this is why we have to challenge those kind of discussions. So, 4 things, now that I have 4 minutes. 4 things we want to talk about why women in particular and why I wrote the book. Women are silenced firstly by their bodies. You all know that. It's either you give birth when you menstruate or you change your body or whatever, you get silence. So that's the very same women that you work with. When you say you have period pains, they don't understand. When you say, listen, my baby, I left with a helper, can I just go? They don't understand, they want reports. The very same women who are empowered. So you silence post-traumatic, where even when you have menopause. So I can't talk about that I have menopause. Please, this is what I want. So we don't talk about it. We do not have intergenerational discussions to talk about what does it mean to have menopause. Second part is the decisions that we do make ourselves that sabotage us and compromise our integrities and dignity as women. For instance, we use up sleeping up strategies at work. And we hear the very same women talking about the power of a vagina. Professional people, and that happens. So what happens is these men, when they see any other woman, they think they undress you as you come in. They think that they will come to you, you will have to give to them because they were given by the next person. So you're compromising the whole womanhood as a collective. And these are the things that we do because we want to get up. The third part is the silencing that we do. And we don't talk about these things and tell the younger people. Is that the organizations that we work for are the microcosms of the society and layered by the national landscape. I can tell you now, this woman you can see as a professor. That woman you can see as a professor. There's something they haven't told you. How they navigate the landscape within the organization. And there's no one who speaks on their behalf. And what we do, it's either if I'm under her, I'm going to have that PhD, or I'm going to compete with her if we are in the same field, or you have bullying tactics that a lot of people within the organizations do. And I know for sure, because I have coached women in the higher education sector, that is rife. We have to talk about these things. It is rife. The third and the fourth thing is that these organizations that we move to, we fit in. And I think you spoke to organizations and policies. And I think we need to move from redress to inclusion to integration. Because what happens is that you have to actually get into an organization and become somebody else. Because someone was there. You get, just by coming in within the organization, you are judged by how you look as a woman, what you dress, what label you wear, where you come from, and all, even before intellectually you engage with people. So I'm challenging you, colleagues. The reason why I wrote the book of Lipstick Chronicles is to speak on behalf of those women who can speak, to speak on behalf of the women who do not have voices. Because we were told silence is going to save us, and it doesn't. And what we need to do is to name this, and we look beyond naming it. We look at what are the ways that we as a collective, men and women, a boy child and a girl child, how you raise your children is going to either repower or it is going to silence women. So I do not have any inspiring story. I have a challenging story for you that if we really have to create a safe space for the younger people to come, we have to start challenging these things. We have to do research. We have to allow and have supervisors that are going to allow the students to do this kind of researches, and at the same time, we make sure that the values of inclusion are not only in strategic planning and are commercialized like what we had in terms of disability, but it is practice. And if you are a woman at the helm of the organization, it is your responsibility to make that the path is smoother than you found it. Thank you very much.
Vusi, thank you so much for what you have shared, and I could actually feel it, that you wanted to say so much more. I'm really hoping that, ladies, as we network, that we have further conversations with all our panelists. But I must say, now I want to be comfortable, because I think this is the part that I'm really going to enjoy, where we start engaging with all the ladies in the house and giving you an opportunity to ask these ladies any question that you want. Hopefully it can be on gender equity as the theme of this event, but you've heard them speak, so on anything that they really have shared with you and you thought, it has triggered a question or a comment, we will allow that in a moment. So if we can just have roaming mics ready, we will probably only take about, shall we say 2 at the most, 3. I am being warned of time, so we will allow 2 to 3 questions from the ladies on the floor. But perhaps let's kickstart this. And I'll be selfish and ask one question. And I'll allow the ladies to respond to that while we roam mics and see who has a hand up. So I'm just thinking, ladies, you know, from all what you've shared, we're speaking equity, right? And we've said it's not the same as equality. And that's really touching a nerve, you know, because I think we've been driven by equality for such a long time. You spoke about redress, you spoke about inclusion, Vusi, you took it further to integration. So the question I'm wondering is, what do you think we as ladies have a responsibility to do in making sure, now as the individual person, right, making sure that that shoe that you need is actually acknowledged and not waiting for the other person in a certain hierarchy to identify that for you. And I'm asking this because I'm thinking, is that not possibly a good way of fast-tracking us to this integration that you are speaking to? That we don't wait, should we be lucky, to get a leader who understands equity and who has a passion and drive. Should we not, all of us individually, be saying, actually, this is what I want. This is what I need. Let me open that to you, ladies. Anybody can go first. We'll just share the mics.
Thank you very much. And as a coach, that's exactly the question that we are confronted with when somebody feels I'm stuck. What do I need to do? And the issue is, and let me make this small anyana thing that says, we are who we attract for future. If you want to feed dogs, you will actually get the dog food. If you decide that's enough, it will come from here. Knowing the who we are and who you stand for is that you have to flip the story when you say that's enough. You take a decision. That's not intellectual. It's here. You talk about the things that you feel very strongly about. And those 2 women that are here, they talk about, this is what I stand for, and I will not allow this to happen under my watch. And that is what we have to do as individuals in your own corners. The problem is that we always refer to people as leaders. If you don't lead yourself, you can't even start to lead others. A housewife is a leader. It's a misnomer to think the positions are leaders.
Thank you,
I took a moment because I know that a lot of the minority groups will agree with us. If you have a disability or you're bisexual or you are a lesbian, or it is impossible not to have a level of self-advocacy. Because if I woke up to a building and they have stairs, I can either move away and continue like it didn't happen, or I must pick up. So self-advocacy is an important part of minority groups because you feel the pain. It's not academic, I agree, it's in your gut. In fact, I always say it's almost as if grit and the fighting spirit is a default setting that comes with disability and these minority groups. You have no choice but to speak up for yourself. So now the challenge for us is to be strategic in how we do it and to find people who will stand with us. That's why I was challenging you earlier on that let's be each other's keepers. You are your sister's keeper. Last year at the Broken Kind still color beautifully because we're all broken, but we all have an impact in life. I had a person with a disability who had just finished his bachelor's at UWC, and we managed to get her into UCT for honors. I'm sorry, I'm going to name and shame, because this is my self-advocacy and for my tribe. She is disabled, she's in a wheelchair, she's a person of a short stature, so she absolutely needs a carer. The culture at the university, the disability unit told her, do not ask anyone to help you. Wait until someone comes to help you. Wait for a carer, wait for your support or whatever. But what type of culture are we inculcating as a university if we are not able to have compassion and to offer help where help is needed? The funny thing about having compassion is that companies who embrace inclusion and diversity and equity have a higher turnaround. They make more profit. Why? Because people show up authentically. So when you use your light to shine someone, to put on someone's candle, you lose nothing, but you've empowered someone else. You've enabled them to shine. And that is the value of self-advocacy. We have to self-advocate and be each other's keepers.
I think I'm gonna, in agreement to what both ladies have said, and in a way of answering that, I also just like posing a question to that question, because for me, it's then, how do I do that? How do I self-advocate? How do I feel? Where is it in my body? How do I know? And I think for me then that's maybe a way to approach our responsibility into us finding equity as women is to change our wording, or even where we start, not to say women empowerment, but to say girls empowerment. Started right from the beginning, because I feel like if I was only waking up to my empowerment, to my self-advocacy at this age, I feel like I've already lost a lot within myself, within my body, that I need to heal from before I can actually step into my power. And it's very deep. It is, because that is already asking a lot from our kids, to say, learn to be your ally, learn to be your advocate, learn to know where in your body does it feel right, where so I think though that's the way it should start, it start with really finding who am I exactly? What am I comfortable with? But it doesn't start here. But it also, when we are already here, we cannot go back in time and say, I want to be a child again and do this thing right. But I think it takes these spaces like this to actually see one another, to breathe together, to kind of like fuel on each other, and then, yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies. I must say, ladies, this is really this is a challenge. We really are being challenged here to think about equity and our contribution to it in a very different light. But having said that, let me perhaps take a question or two from the podium. Ladies, I don't want to leave any one of you out. Any question for the ladies? Any comment at all? Yep, or even sharing, yes. Sharing of experiences, that's the coach coming out. Sharing of any experience, you know, that you want to believe that we, would certainly love to hear that. One hand. Can we get a mic to the lady, please?
Thank you so much. I don't have a question, but I'd like to comment on the contributions of all three women here today. One brought me to absolute tears, just in terms of, moving with your story. And so thank you so much for sharing it with us. And of course, all three of you have certainly inspired all of us. You've motivated us, and we are really and truly grateful for your stories here today. And I think all of us sitting here today, we all have our own stories. Yeah. And, the theme in terms of empowerment and recognizing that power that women have, that's so important. And, we've just recently hosted a hugely successful Netball World Cup for the first time on African soil. And wow, what an absolutely phenomenal showpiece it was for women's sport. And of course, we had our successful Banyana at the FIFA Women's World Cup. And just this morning on the radio, I heard that yesterday at the University of Nebraska in America, for the first time, a record was broken for the number of spectators at a women's sporting event, and it was 92,000 people at a volleyball match for women. So women are claiming their rightful places in society across the spectrum, whether it's in business, academia, or sport. So thank you to you women for sharing yourselves with us today, and for the stories that you've told. We've certainly all been inspired. Thank you so much.
I think you've closed that very well for us. Very well this session. Thank you so much. Is there one more hand? We'll take absolutely just one more. All right, thank you so much. Let's get the roaming mic to... If you can come closer so we can see you. I think Yep, you're hiding behind the pillar. Thank you so much. Over to you.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to ask a question. I think I need clarity. My question is, what is the difference between gender equity, gender equality, and women's empowerment? Thank you.
Right, so I'm going to pose that question to the three of you ladies, and really from any takers?
I'm going to go first because I'm the one who said I'm not academic. There's a beautiful illustration of different people who are trying to look over a wall to watch a match. The one person is tall. The one person is offered a short stature. And please, guys, language is important. They're not dwarfs. They are persons of a short stature. Anyway, I digress so beautifully. So equality is if you give all of them, both of them, an equal box to stand on. The tall person will be able to see even further. The short person will not be able to see anything still. So what is equity? That's equality. Giving everyone an equal chance to stand. Equity is different because it addresses the need. So you give the short person a tall box, and you give the tall person you give them a box. But it's that concept that Doc made earlier on of making sure that these shoes fit. You are addressing the need so that the person can be able to watch the match. And then inclusion is making sure that they're all on the field and they all get an opportunity to play. Who wants to speak about
Thank you
women
very much.
empowerment?
Thank you. Ladies, any more comments?
I'm not going to be starting to talking about those concepts because they were really, really very well explained. Women empowerment. I'm talking about it because I've got a problem with that concept. When you empower something that you think, ainanto. What is it in English? And from my perspective, there's a new concept that we have put together of re-powerment. It goes with reclaiming. It goes with recharging. Because if I talk to each one of you here, you have the answers, and they are not all the same. You have the solutions, but you need guidance to actually take that position that we have been silenced or we were not given and whatever. So this empowerment, again, these are the languages that we need to challenge. What do you mean? For me, capacity building and empowerment is just condescending. Is there something like that? Even if you look at the women empowerment programs, if you have facilitated something that's written by an NGO or whatever, or from the department, women empowerment, I know that you don't know. So I come in and tell you, I have a method already. And I know you have to do this to be able to do that. I'm not talking to you about what your need is and how you think you can do the thing. So from where I sit, with the languaging we need to change. We were talking about that. We say people are dwarf. No. It's not about people are deaf. No. People are reclaiming the labeling that we have been given before, and these are the safe spaces for us to be able to do that. Other people maybe want to be called like that. I'll make an example. Other people say they are Xhosa. I am not defined by the language that I speak. This is mine. Other people say they are Xhosa. I'm not Xhosa. Because you might not see me wearing umbhaqo. And andimthandi anyway, you are Cinda, and I don't have big bums on big legs to carry umbhaqo. So for me, it's my own self-preservation. It's beautiful kwabanye abantu, you know. And you know, women with bums like umandisa, they gushu, it's nice, it looks good. You know what I'm saying? So that diversity amongst us, we must celebrate. We are not women are not a homogeneous group. Diversity in intellect, physique, ideas, perspectives, and whatever. Sorry, I went on and whatever, but I just want to challenge some of these things that...
Thank you, Musi. I'll take you up on the other point you raised later. But I absolutely love the repower you said, right? Yeah. Wow, that's absolutely phenomenal. Siki, do you want to say a few words, maybe in closing?
Well, in closing, I want to say that, yeah, for me, women empowerment is this. I know I'm using the same word that I have a problem with, just like you, but if I was to go with the language and with what is existing in our time, this is the idea when the word came that it wanted to bring to us, that we create these safe spaces, brave spaces where we can really come together and re-empower, rebirth what each of us has within ourselves. So, yeah.
Ladies, I must say, we have run out of time for this session, so I am going to hand over to our program director. But I think without saying much, I do want to leave you with the following. We have put together this program. We said as a working committee, what would be an impactful theme for celebrating Women's Month this year? And women equity really stood out. And we were quite deliberate about choosing that theme. You'll hear a bit about it in a second. But I think as commitment to the ladies in our panel, us as a faculty have also decided to stand up for women equity, and you'll see in a moment as we pledge. But ladies, thank you so much for your attention and for the questions and for engaging us, and to our beautiful panelists. Thank you for sharing those very, 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 very intimate stories, and we thank you. Over to you.
Thank you so much. If you can.
So we may be seated.
Thank you. Okay, the next item we have on our program is a wonderful spoken word artist. So please come ahead. Please come to the front and let's have a listen.
Good afternoon, everyone. How are you guys doing? My name is Otem Callahan, and I'm going to be performing a poem called Empowered Women Empower Women. To the woman who is in the transit phase of life, you have unfinished business. You've forgotten who you are and all of your wildest dreams. Never left with generational wealth, never handed opportunities, but you're still winning. I didn't come to try and reconvince you. You get the gist. I barely managed to make it on the guest list. But I will say this. I know who I am. I create because I exist. Don't allow society to swallow you up like a meal they never dished. You have unfinished business with your inner self. You better get to it before they put you on a shelf. Being forgotten is worse than not trying. But it is us women who have to die before we are felt. Even though I'm very proud of you, it is your inner voice, she screams inside of you, saying something must be done about this unfairness that is in heated flame. Our stories are what make us, though we are not the same. You vilify yourself to make room for other people's hate. I am because you have given me the permission to take up space. That is the mystery of iniquity Lauryn Hill sang about back in '02. Something along the lines of, oh, when it all falls down, I'm telling you now, it all falls down. And who must be there? Who must pull through? Women, they're calling upon me and you to pick up the pieces, my mothers, my sisters. What would they be without us? It is we who put in the hard work and hustle and never reap the riches. Yet they distract us from the real issue. They draw our attention to that which they think we lack, manifests in our insecurities. To the woman in the back seat, I see you if you see me. I know that deep down within, it is something that's there inside of you. It is desired equity. Patriarchy cries in a corner when we women come together. It is not always heard, but I will say this. You are everything simply because you exist. You are a magical experience. This is my dedication to you. You are one of a kind. And there are people that will be reached only if they are reached by you. Speak loudly and honestly. Be brave and dare to dream your wildest dreams. Some of my wildest dreams stay dreams. And some of those dreams come true because it is you that I see. It is you who I want to grow up to be. Imagine for a minute that this is your voice deep within, walking over to yourself in the mirror, just to let yourself know that you are the winner. Sometimes you need to do that just to get through at least half of the day, to stand and look at yourself and say, awusemhle man, yes. Today is the day that I am going to break that glass ceiling. I am strong, I am powerful, I am beautiful, I am worthy. I am my ancestors' wildest dreams. I have a positive aura. My confidence is captivating. When I walk into a room, I shine the brightest like an ultra light beam. I can do anything because I'm every woman. It's all in me. Anything you want done, baby. As dreamers and as women, we have unfinished business. Business about other girls coming up in this world. Business about our inner passions and our deepest desires. We were not meant to fit into the world. That is why we are tasked with making it better. But we need to work together. We need to work with each other. It is through community that we are empowered. Quiet women never made history, but empowered women embrace equity. Thank you.
We were supposed to share the Men's Appreciation Board, but due to time we won't. So it was just messages from the men in our faculty of what they... Okay. No one
Okay,
is in
we
a
will go
rush.
ahead. It's just we were considering time and people that have made plans. Hey? Okay, we will do it. We were just
Okay.
trying to be considerate of people who needed to leave who have plans afterwards. So it's fine. We will accommodate, okay?
Thank you, ladies.
We'll go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, boss.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, so while they are serving some of our meals, we're going to do a spot prize. I think Pumi is going to assist me. I think we'll ask one of the panelists to draw a number. And the people that are excluded from winning the prizes are the panelists and the organizing committee. So yeah, Mpumi, you can choose who you want to ask to draw a number. And then, so it's all been verified and audited, so there's no secret. And our number is? Number 13. And number 13 is Autumn. It wasn't not supposed to be like that. Okay, Autumn, here we go. Thank you very much.
Meg, you up next with the pledge.
While we are getting our food, like I said, we're ready. I'm going to do the next part of the program, which is the Women's Pledge. Okay. So good afternoon again, thank you. I am Megan Dos Santos. Some of you might know me in the Faculty of Business and Management Sciences. I want to share with you something before I even go to the pledge, something that I've come across in doing my research and trying to find out, what is something good to talk about when you talk about these kinds of women empowerment workshops. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with someone by the name of Nora Ephron. She's an American journalist, writer. She's very famous for those of you that like old school movies, When Harry Met Sally, Sleepless in Seattle. And in 1996, she did a speech at her alma mater at Wellesley College in Massachusetts in the USA. And the speech she gave a group of graduates still hold very true. And it's something I would like to share with you before we go to the Women's Pledge for our faculty. So Nora Ephron said the following in her speech, and I've taken snippets from there. She said, "Above all, be the heroine of your life, not the victim. Your education is a dress rehearsal for a life that is yours to lead." Okay. She further said, "Whatever you choose, however many roads you travel, choose not to be a lady. Find some way to break the rules and make a little trouble out there. Choose to make some of that trouble on behalf of women." So with this in mind, I would like to invite each and every one of you to pledge your support for our campaign, Empowered Women Embrace Equity. So when signing this pledge, okay, you will promise and pledge support and your willing participation to advocate women's rights. You will commit to driving change by demonstrating appropriate behavior and being a positive role model for all. You will also pledge your commitment to gender equality, to lead by example, and to exercise inclusive behaviors. Fourthly, you will also pledge to support organizational initiatives like these ones we are having that drive gender equity and equality. And finally, pledge to always engage with others with compassion, kindness, and empathy. We will have the pledge displayed on the outside with the terrace, and so during our networking session, I would like all of you to please pledge your support by signing the pledge. And once everyone's signatures is on there, our Dean of the Faculty has given us approval to actually display the pledge in his office. So please, at the end of our session, please make your way to the terrace to sign our pledge in support. Thank you very much.
Is it on? Okay. Hi, I come back. How's everyone? Thank you very much, Can I just settle down and... So, again, I'm back for the fun part. Just to say thank you to everyone. So, first things first, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for gracing us, mainly ladies. And today I would just like to express the gratitude to all the guests that have graced us with their presence today. I do thank you. And I want to extend again a thank you to the Faculty of Business and Management Sciences, and also to our sponsors and our internal funders as well. A big thank you to Old Mutual, Cape Town Tea Company, and Media 24 for the little that they have contributed to make this event happen for you ladies. And then to our panelists, I would like to say thank you to Dr. Sonyelwa. I'd like to say thank you to Ms. Makotliso and Ms. Waka. And also, I do appreciate you guys for gracing us with wisdom and your presence as well. We'd also like to thank our entertainment team and also the marketing team as well. And last but not least, would like to thank the Cape Town Hotel School for this amazing venue and with great views as well. So with that, ladies, I would like to say you all look beautiful, and I thank you for allowing us to host you today. The colors are popping. Miss Fascinator there, love it. You did stick to the theme of high tea, bright colors. If we had a best guest, I think you're taking it home today. Can we give a round of applause for that? You got the memo. We said high tea, she said no more. So with that, again, ladies, to our events team from CPUT, we like to say thank you very much for coming today. So what I would also do is just to say to our panelists and also some of the guests that we have hosted, we have something little for everyone. So you're not going home empty-handed. You will get something just to remind you guys that you had this fabulous event that we hosted you on. So until next year, ladies and gentlemen, I'll just give it over to Ms. Silo for the closing remarks.
Ladies, it's always difficult to come after Wendy. I mean, but really, I want to keep you ladies. We are at the end of the program, and thank you so much, for being here. And I'm really hoping everybody had fun. I certainly enjoyed myself. That was really one of the intentions, I think, for this program, that we are here to have fun, and I'm hoping that you did. I guess in closing, I think I thought it was important that we just remind ourselves of the pledge we've just made to women equity. And I must just point out that in my journey, that has been my experience, that one sometimes has to fight for somebody else, somebody more than them. And I'm asking you, as we part today, that you take that pledge. Print that, we will circulate this to everybody. Yes, it will be in our Dean's office, but we will circulate this to everybody. And we are asking that you read this ever so often, and you remind yourself that the next woman sitting next to you or in the next office or that you meet needs that, and that's what you have committed to. I'm hoping that this event really has been impactful, and that, signing this pledge, that this lives on and leaves a legacy in the Faculty of Business and Management Science. But in closing, very last one, I do want to just make one more announcement. And the ladies are not expecting this, but I'd love them, Asisa, please don't walk out. I'd love to just say a few words to the organizing committee. This event would have not been this phenomenal without the ladies that were part of this committee. So I'm just going to mention them by name. First, Taryn, thank you so much. Mpumi, Wendy, Joanne, and Megan. These ladies sat in meetings endlessly, you know, in this last couple of weeks, moved from bi-weekly to weekly to then every day, and really to just put all of this together. Ladies, I really do appreciate what you have done. I do have a small token of appreciation, but I think we can do that in a bit later so that we don't keep the guests. But on my left side, we will then share that later on. Thank you, ladies, and we will take photo sessions outside. Thank you very much.
As I said, remember, I am the Mother Christmas. Again, I come back bearing gifts. So firstly, Prof. Scholes, we're saying thank you very much for everything, for even allowing us to host these beautiful ladies. So it is our just small token of appreciation to say well done to the work that you do to empower women. We do appreciate it. And again to Dr. Songelwa, thank you very much for gracing us with your presence in your busy schedule. You look beautiful, by the way. And then to Ms. Makotliso, hi, how are you? Thank you very much for coming and sharing your wisdom with us and gracing us with your presence. I did hear your powerful speech. Keep up the good work, ma'am. And we will say to you, Ms. Waka, with the beautiful hair, thank you very much for gracing us with your presence today. Do appreciate it. Looking forward to hear more of empowering stories of young women from you. And then, last but not least, Ms. Codigan, thank you very much for that powerful spoken word. Really appreciate it. Part of power, did enjoy it. Again, we say thank you very much. And that is it. But as I said, ladies, that you're all not walking away empty-handed. Everyone is getting a gift. You getting a gift, you getting a gift. Everyone is getting a gift. And that is my cue. Thank you again, ladies. You all look beautiful.
Thank you so much, Wendy. And that is it, ladies. I hope you enjoy your meals. Please take a minute to get to know one another, etc. Don't forget to sign the pledge on your way out and pick up your gift as well. Thank you.